Jason, so good to see you again, man. Seriously, I
Good to
love
see
you
you.
and I love this show and I geek out with you every time we chat. But seriously, thank you for just bringing this to us, man. We needed it more than we need a lot of things right now. So seriously, thank you for the time.
I'm right along there with you about needing this. So absolutely, good to see you again.
I've got to tell you, I love you. I know you're going to hear this all day. I love you so much and I love this show so much. And this was everything that I never knew I always needed. So seriously, thank you for everything about this show. And I have 1,000 questions for you.
Yeah, I'm sick of
Oh,
hearing that,
appreciate it.
Jake. What a
I figured
horrible,
you
I
might
love
be.
that.
I thought
what
you
a
might.
horrible thing to hear.
I know. It's
Don't
what a horrible
ever
way to
say
start
that
an
again.
interview with.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
All right, man. I got to tell you, one of the great prides in my life actually is how many people I have turned on to Ted Lasso, how many fans of the show I've created. My boss, my anchors, my mom, who is a really hard critic. And there's no better feeling than when they come back and say, like, oh my God, you were so right. It's so good. So I'm wondering, who is the person that you turned on to the show that you are most proud to have turned into a Ted Lasso fan?
I guess Bill Lawrence, because we, I mean, it was because Brendan and Hunt and who plays Coach Beard and Joe Kelly, we did those commercials, and in pitching the show to him, because that's the way it came about was, he came to me with a piece of material that wasn't quite right for us, but he and I hit it off, and like, look, man. Bill has, and this is a saying that's used in many places, but like has forgotten more about television than I'll ever know. And I think you could put the best 10 episodes of Scrubs against any show on television. And the fact that he wanted to like work with me and pitch me his idea, and then was gentlemanly enough to understand like my concerns with it, and yet was like, hey, if you ever have anything. In that same day, I was like, well, me and my buddies had come up with this idea a few years ago called Ted Lasso, and for him to take it away, the materials that we had worked on, and been like, oh yeah, this is absolutely something, is life changing. And I think as much, for him as certainly Joe Brennan and I, and it sounds, your mom and your your coworkers and whatnot. So I mean, at a very base level, that would be it.
My dad.
Is he
I
a
mean,
tough critic?
yeah, he's 81. He's just turned 81. He's a lunatic on a Harley Davidson.
And he was like, oh, I don't know if it'll be to me. I don't like football. And I was like, look, football is just the background, the backdrop. Let's see. And he wolfed it down like a lunatic. And he's like, I mean, honestly, the detail in the writing is extraordinary. And now I've watched it 3 times, and I'm like, what?
So, okay, I was lucky enough to get the first 3 episodes of this season. Does your dad, is the benefit of being your father, that does he have the whole
No.
season? No.
No, no,
Then
he hasn't been able to
what's the
see it
point of
yet.
all this?
I know. What is the point of the bloodline if he can't be let in early? I know.
He's gonna
But
walk
oh
behind you with a
god,
bell and say shame over and over again to
yes,
get
I've
those.
got it here. He'll have to
Do
come
you
round and get
really?
it.
Do
Of
you
course,
really?
I have.
Fucking awesome. Oh, that's awesome.
I've got my
Oh,
hero bell.
For me, I do stand up, and I've got a lot of very cynical stand up friends. Really cynical comics, British comics, and I thought they're gonna hate this because they're gonna shit on this. They shit on everything. And we had a little screening, and they were all crying, and they were like, "It's the best show ever." And I was like, "Oh shit! Oh wow, okay." So that was the.
Oh, I'm bad at self-promotion. I would say that my brothers have done a lot of that for me. They've definitely, yeah, my brothers and my parents have told some of their friends to watch it, which I was not expecting, and that's been lovely.
Oh, I gotta go with my little cousin.
I've got a little cousin who I don't see that much. He's in Ireland, with my uncle and my auntie in Ireland, and he started watching it, and he's as you know, he's like 17, 18, around that age. So he's a bit aloof, too cool for school, and he just loves the show, man. Like every time he hits me up and he's like, "Oh, I love the dart scene in season 1, like barbecue sauce." I'm like, "Yes, we won him over."
Oh, first of all, thank you for spreading the word. I honestly, well, I think my very, very close friends back in Guadalajara, where I'm from, they used to play football as well professionally. And so as soon as I told them, because when this opportunity happened, I didn't tell anybody, nothing, because I didn't want to go and do this amazing thing and then who knows what happens and nothing happens. And so when it came out, they were like, what the hell? And then I just spread the word with them, and I'm very happy that they are sharing this happiness with me and all this.
The one that I'm proud of that I or two actually that come to mind, people that I just wanted to see it, who I had, one I'm good friends with, Sarah Silverman. Just the way she was interacting with people during post the 2016 election online and meeting people in a very empathetic, loving and yet still very funny way. I reached out to her and said, "Hey, I think you might dig this show if you want to watch it." And because she has a million things going on like any of us. And then I reached out to Rex Chapman, who does a similar kind of thing, and more on Twitter. And I met Rex many moons ago at a Final Four, and so I reached out to them personally just to sort of say, "Hey, I think y'all might dig this," because they were putting that vibe out in the world in their own special way. And both of them came back being huge fans of it, and that was great.
I must have missed when you texted me and to pitch it to me. But don't worry, I got you.
You figured it out on your own. Those dummies needed some poking. Your intuition is full on. Those guys didn't know. Yeah.
Fair enough. I have to say, I don't think I'm being superfluous when I say that Ted Lasso is the kind of character who has the power to just sort of make you see the world differently. And I was wondering, what's an aspect of your own life around you that you now see differently just because of the inherent optimism with this show and as a result of just playing this man?
Yeah, I mean, trying to allow your intuition guide you and not let your baggage get in the way. I think also a big thing, and something that I believed in, but I had sort of lost touch with in my own life, is rooted in a scene in the show, this scene where Ted's playing darts against the former owner, Rebecca's ex-husband Rupert, where he quotes Walt Whitman, "Be curious, not judgmental." When pitching the show, even to Bill, it was like, I wanted to play a character that I don't like it when I've met a guy, and I've seen it in my modest career in sports, playing high school and college basketball, and then also in this endeavor in the arts, doing film and television, where you meet a guy who is ignorant but then arrogant, and that's a tough cocktail to swallow. But when you meet someone that's ignorant and curious, that was how I would pitch the show, and yet I think I lost touch with that within my own head, heart, and soul, and maybe was leaning more towards the judgmental side of things instead of being curious. So when someone makes a decision you don't agree with, instead of asking why without judgment, just sincere curiosity, you can probably get to the bottom of something a lot quicker and learn something a lot quicker, not only about them, but about themselves, about yourself.
That it's okay to let people see you, flaws and all, and for them to extend help. You don't have to be an immovable feast and to have every shutter, however glamorous, up all the time.
See, the show, ever since I turned 30, I had to start crying at everything. And now I feel like I'm just going to cry halfway through the show.
I actually say ever since you turned 30.
Yes, I cry at everything now.
Yes, Jake, I was 16 when you were born. You're not allowed to say that.
We'll cut that part. No, you wear it well.
We've talked about it on set. This thing of applying it to how we work together and how we live our lives. Like sort of one thing I now say all the time, and I mean it, and it's like a real sort of check in with people, is I now do say I appreciate you. Like I find myself saying that in conversations with people when I have an interaction that means something. I will acknowledge it. So I appreciate you. And like, just that alone is a small thing that has changed because of this show and so many others.
I think in a time where life was heartbreaking and difficult and the world was just a darker place than we expected to happen at this moment in time, to get to go and play these characters that bring a lot of light into our lives, and then on top of that have it go out into the world and people to actually feel the light that we felt making it, and feel the kind of warmth and feel the reminder that humans can be kind to one another and they can be caring and they don't have to be causing mass destruction and hitting on each other. They can nurture and they can love and they can forgive. And I think for me, I definitely know that Keely helped me to be kinder to myself. I can be a wicked bitch to myself, and she really helped me be kinder, which I'm very grateful to her for that.
I think for me, it's just trying to be as much like Sam in real life as humanly possible. Like he's like Danny's exactly the same as well. It's like we have these characters who seem almost unrealistically nice and like super kind, and they're just like a beacon of like sun everywhere. Like they spread that everywhere they go. And so I'm just trying to find more of that in my life. And like we're really making kindness cool. Like it's cool to be a good person. It's cool to smile. It's cool to be nice to people. And like it's not. Yeah, it's great. And so like I just want to find more of that in my life. That's my message from Ted Lasso that I take on.
Well, I mean, like, it's just there are so many things because there are so many nice messages, and I truly believe that when you don't know something, when you have no knowledge or experience in something, and you really want to be good at it, it's possible as long as you work hard and push yourself to get out there and try and fail. And I think I've experienced that with acting and not having any clue, any background, any family members or anything, just football. And then once I realized I wanted to go for that, prepare myself, and I think that's the message I identify myself mostly with Ted.
One of the greatest compliments I've ever received in my life is my anchor at my news station said, you're kind of like the Ted Lasso of our news team. And that is maybe the greatest thing that anyone's. Yeah. So thinking about what that man represents, who is the Ted Lasso of your life?
Juno Temple.
Because she has been through, and very vocally so, a load of shit in her life many times, here and there, troughs, and she is accepting of others. She celebrates others, and she only bolsters people up.
Juno, I spoke with Hannah just a few minutes ago because I was telling her that one of the greatest compliments I've ever gotten in my life is my anchor at my station said, you're kind of like the Ted Lasso of our news team, which is the greatest compliment anyone's ever given me. And I asked Hannah, who is the Ted Lasso of your life? And she said it's you.
Yeah.
And I think that's I based on just talking to you, I feel like I get that vibe.
I find that quite overwhelming because I find that the people around me just make me want to be a better person, and so the fact that that kind of overwhelms me because I think you are who you surround yourself with. So I'm a lucky little tyke to be with this extraordinary group of people and to be a part of this whole thing and to love these people when cameras aren't rolling. To be honest with you, it's a privilege, big time.
My dad, easy. My dad is like the most peaceful man. Ted Lasso in a very different way. I mean, he tells the same bad jokes sometimes, and but like he's a massive football fan, and like honestly, like between football and religion and prayer, like he's like the most at peace man ever, and so like he just sends nothing but good vibes out into the world. So my dad is definitely my Ted Lasso.
I think my Ted Lasso was my grandma, who rests in peace. I grew up with her because my parents were all the time outside working, so I grew up like all my childhood with my grandma, and most of the greatest advices and things I've learned came from her. So I think my grandma was my Ted Lasso.
And as they're giving me the wrap, Jason spoke recently about potentially ending the show after 3 seasons, which I'm of two minds about because I love when shows go out when they're still great. But obviously, I'd love for the show to go on forever. I'm just sort of curious. Do you know what the end of the story is? Do you know the end of the has he spoken to you about it?
Right. I have the most terrible poker face ever. Trust me, no. I have no clue. And actually, I'm okay with that because I had no clue what was going to happen in season 1 either. And I like the fact that you play it out kind of in real time, really.
Oh, that's amazing. I could talk to you all day, and I hope you can tell that I genuinely love this show from the bottom of my heart. It helped me through the whole thing, and I love you from the bottom of my heart. So thank you for taking the time to chat with me. I really appreciate it. So seriously, guys, from the bottom of my heart, I genuinely love you guys, and I love this show, and I cannot thank you enough for what you gave us, and it's truly a gift. So thank you very much for your time.
Jake, thank you so much for your time, man. Thank you for having us.
Have a wonderful day.
Nice to meet you, bro.
Nice to meet you guys.
Bye.
Well, I'm lucky to be able to talk to you, and it's one thing to be able to fall in love with the show, but then to be able to tell the people who make it that you love the show and that you love them. It's the greatest honor in the world. So, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. I really do. I'm going to cry just in this interview. So, thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Jake, I appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys. All right, you guys, take care.
Really
good to see you. That was so great. Thank you so much.
Cheers, man. That was so nice.
So from the bottom of my heart, man, I appreciate your time and thank you for the show and beers on me whenever you're in Chicago.
Absolutely, man. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for supporting us.
Well, we're going, we don't need roads.